What's going on, everybody? This is dkdynamite for an unexpected and bonus video here for you guys tonight. We're going to be talking about some decade-long zombie secrets that honestly change everything we know about Black Ops 2. Definitely stay tuned. Now, taking a look at some of these new pieces of information, I'm really excited about the future of zombies. There are so many concepts that sound fantastic on paper that probably would have played pretty well back in BO2 that I would hope to see incorporated on the new COD HQ engine. But it looks like as of around a day ago, Nanikos over on Twitter did post a bit of a breakdown of some document leaks from the original Black Ops 2. The information doesn't seem to be too sensitive since Activision hasn't taken any legal action against anybody talking about this information, but it does look like the document itself does contain lots of secrets about the development plans that were originally set in stone for Black Ops 2 Zombies, and it looks like somebody by the name of Fleecy Port then made an older Zombies build playable for Black Ops 2, in which you have content creator Mr. Dalek JD, who posted a playthrough of this Zombies build, which of course showcases Mob of the Dead. So let's start with Mob, right? There's an alpha build of Mob of the Dead, which actually seems to confirm that the iteration we saw in Black Ops 4 for Blood of the Dead was completely based on some original concepts Treyarch had in mind for the 2013 version of Alcatraz. So as you will see in some of the gameplay, there was a catwalk, and you could even see new industries, the powerhouse, and there was planned to be a Minecraft fast travel from new industries to the showers, which may sound familiar to you because that's actually what we ended up seeing with Blood of the Dead. Something similar, at least. It also seems like there was expansion planned for the Golden Gate Bridge, where there would have been some type of factory or fort point area, which obviously isn't seen in the gameplay, nor do we end up seeing any of that in the actual version of Mob of the Dead. In my opinion, I would have hoped to have seen the Golden Gate Bridge as the boss fight area for Blood of the Dead. That didn't end up happening, and that ended up being the only POI that didn't return in Black Ops 4. But let's jump into some game modes that were initially planned for Black Ops 2. So the thing is, we really haven't seen too many Treyarch titles focus on other modes apart from round-based and now Outbreak. Black Ops 2 had Grief and Turn, which were pretty competitive, pitting you against other real players. Black Ops 3 didn't offer anything. Black Ops 4 had Rush and Gauntlet, which I think were a nice addition to the round-based formula, but Cold War, of course, just introduced Outbreak, which is the big open-world experience that a lot of people have come to love. There was Crank, there was Jingle Hells, and some other little LTMs for the Outbreak experience, but so far Black Ops 6 hasn't really done too much apart from, again, the Jingle Hell celebration and even what was Deadlight Greenlight, which of course wasn't received too well. But now let's talk about TranZit a little bit. This is one of few Treyarch Zombies maps that has never been reimagined or remade to any capacity. Hopefully we end up seeing some type of one-to-one or a new and improved version of TranZit on the new engine at some point in the near future, because I think this map, with the right technology, devs, and resources, could actually become something truly special. I think the formula was there for something great, but because of hardware limitations and probably time constraints, Treyarch really didn't live up to, I think, the vision that Treyarch initially had. But in TranZit, the Avogadro fight would have started as soon as you turned on the power, and you'd have to run back to the bus before he insta-kills you, and the rest of the fight would take place, I guess, in the bus. Treyarch also wanted to incorporate a system called Echoes, which would be sort of like a chat form where you can exchange tips and game saves. That has me intrigued as well. Game saves. Imagine just sharing your save file with someone else. I mean, we have save files today with Black Ops 6. Imagine being able to give that to another player somehow to where they can pick up where you left off in a game of round-based. That would be crazy. And again, I can't even imagine how that would have worked back in like the PS3 or Xbox 360. But one of the crazier modes that Treyarch seemed to have tested a lot for Black Ops 2 Zombies was something called Meat. Now, images, I believe low-res images to be exact, did surface of this mode a couple of years ago, but now an HD look at the mode has been posted in the form of a screenshot and even some additional gameplay. So based on the footage that does exist, here's how the mode actually worked. So you would throw Richtofen's head at an opposing team. So I believe it was just 4v4, and the players were separated by a barrier. So teams of 2, and once you threw the Richtofen head to the other side, zombies will begin to spawn in. And you'd have to be strategic about what you'd do with Richtofen's head, because you'd of course want to farm up a bunch of zombie kills, earn points, so you can go upgrade your weapons, buy some additional items, and then you would decide if you want to throw the head to the other side so that that team would get a chance to go ahead and kill some zombies, and you would take some of the heat off of your team's back. So it looks like it would have been a fast-paced experience, and it would have been, I think, the best out of 5. So you'd play around 5 rounds of this that I'm assuming would have been fairly long matches, because eventually one team would die out as the rounds would proceed, and you'd have to worry about upgrading your weapons to survive, dealing with faster swiping zombies. I'm assuming it would have also applied the round-based formula where the zombies would just get harder as time goes on. Now, Grief allegedly would have been a lot more complex, as apparently you would have been able to turn off power, Pack-a-Punch, unpurchase people's weapons, not sure how that would have worked, use low-gravity machines, open and close doors, and even more. There was also a mode called Race, which players began on a track with rooms to get through, and they would have to race to the other side of the map, and every door open would ramp up the health of zombies and the points they gave. So another unique sounding mode. There was also something called Pitted, which was set during one of the bus's breaking down portions. You'd have to survive against another team. So I'm assuming you'd spawn on a bus, and then the bus would break, and then you would see another team on a separate bus, and I guess you guys would break down near each other, and you have to go ahead and survive as long as possible. But then when it comes to Turn, of course, there was a 4-player version of this where one person was a zombie, and you'd have 3 humans that were playing gun game. But there was a 2v2 variant of Turn that was allegedly planned, where player zombies would choose from various zombie types, kind of like Dead Space's 2 multiplayer mode, except you're not going to be doing objectives. There was also something called No Man's Land, which is essentially Area 51 from Moon, but a free-for-all with other real people trying to survive against other squads, presumably. Again, there's limited info about some of these game modes, but then there was something called Deadpool and another mode called Cleansed, which no details actually exist for. So TranZit was originally conceptualized to have several other mechanics with the bus system. Every so often, the bus could break down and players would need to repair it. Super Sprinter denizens and Hellhounds would attack the player, whereas players would need to refill the gas for the bus at a nearby gas station. I guess it's what Warzone would eventually come to introduce when it comes to a little more realism with the vehicle system. Now, the bus would also have turrets and armor, whereas players would need to stop at the farm for food and ammo. So I feel like realism and that real post-apocalyptic vibe was really initially planned for Black Ops 2 Zombies, which of course got severely watered down for reasons unknown. So clearly Treyarch was real ambitious with how zombies would have worked in Black Ops 2. It's just sad to see that none of these modes ever really made their way into other Call of Duty titles at all. We also have something called Encounters, which would have been a tournament-styled mode that would have used systems similar to Grief, and as you beat more teams, other teams would actually go after you. So I wonder if it was going to be a case where there would be more than 2 squads in a game at once. That's what this sounds like. So it looks like all the way back then, they had plans for lots and lots of teams in a single zombie match at once, which is somewhat similar or in the ballpark as Modern Warfare Zombies, where there's over 20 real players in a single game. In this mode, you would also be able to shoot other players, taking away their points, while you would be able to open and close doors. There was also something called Endurance, which would have been another tournament-styled game mode where you have certain tasks and challenges, and the fact that you can win prizes and rewards also has me intrigued to see what LTM's Treyarch could plan for the future of zombies, because imagine seeing animated camos, tracer blueprints, or even operator skins by beating other squads in a specific game mode that isn't round-based or Outbreak. That would also create unlimited replayability, in my opinion. Now, Treyarch also planned a number of other gameplay mechanics that never saw the light of day, but some of these kind of got infused with some other mechanics we have today in Call of Duty Zombies. So here's the list we have, right? Window zombies can actually grab you. Luckily, we never saw that, but that honestly would give more of a horror aspect to Call of Duty Zombies. Third-person mode, which we ended up getting in Modern Warfare 3. Post-map stats, which we've seen in some recent iterations. Co-op pause that took away points. Now, this got added with, Black Ops 4. I believe it returned in Cold War, and we now have this in Black Ops 6, minus the addition of somehow losing points while you're paused. That's actually pretty funny that I'm sure high rounders wouldn't mind too much. That, of course, depends, though. And then there's player select perks for a map in team versus team game modes. Once a perk has been taken by a team player, it won't be available until the next round or game. That's, again, leaning into more of the competitive side, which Treyarch really hasn't done with zombies in a number of years. We also have room creatures. As far as we know, it's never really elaborated on apart from creatures in rooms. Not really sure what that means, but again, credit to Margwa Network on Twitter for having posted a big breakdown of a lot of the information within this document. Something called jump puzzles, not sure what that means. Different sizes for characters that could affect gameplay. That sounds interesting. And then abilities like a suit that can electrify players. So again, some interesting mechanics that Treyarch's never really tapped into again. And then something called Zombie Ape, maybe the Dead Ops Arcade gorilla that could have come at us in round base or something, who knows? Now, the original story behind TranZit was this, and it was pretty different from what we ended up actually seeing with Victus. It was going to be set 100 years after Moon in 2112. The town runs on an off-the-grid system somehow. Maxis would have no clue who he was, and players would have to rebuild his consciousness. Richtofen would be fighting against Maxis over the substance called Vril, which we know kind of got loosely molded into the Keeper storyline, which Black Ops 3 followed up on and expanded upon. Main characters would have included the fake spy, a farmer's daughter, which we know would be Misty, an electrical engineer who would be geeky, maybe like Marlton, and then some conspiracy dude, which I guess kind of turned into what we saw with Russman. Maybe the fake spy was Thulinger after all, if I had to guess. Either way, these stereotypes kind of got turned into what we saw as Victus anyway. And to end things off with the original plan for Black Ops 2's DLC season. DLC 1 would have started with another town. Other maps would have been teased by road signs and sinkholes. Maxis would be slowly rebuilt as the maps released, and there would be another big bad in the ether that actually scared Richtofen, leading him to helping players out and wanting to escape the ether itself.
You will never succeed in this, Edward. The blackness will swallow your pride. Something far more terrible than you lies here.
Maxis and Richtofen would try to kill each other several times across the DLC cycle, and the last DLC would have had players choosing who they wanted to side with, which kind of got turned into what we saw with the Maxis and Richtofen endgames with DLC 3 Buried. Not quite the end of the DLC cycle for BO2, but the end of the Victus story within BO2, since DLC 4 was Origins, introducing Primus to the Ether storyline. But Die Rise was originally planned to have 2 new and returning perks, the first one being Chug a Bug, only available in solo games, which is essentially Who's Who, and it was planned to have PhD, hence why there is a bit of a gag Easter egg inside the map itself. Buried was originally conceptualized to be in a city and an underground subway. There was a main center hub and then a city intersection, as well as a train yard, with a subway car that would transport players, similar to Shadows of Evil. Whereas there was also an electrified rail trap in the city intersection. I think Treyarch used inspiration from the New York City subways, according to this document. Later on, they changed it to where players would be in an 18th century old town from the start and would then make their way to the city at the top, which of course also ended up getting scrapped. But the weirdest part of all is the original plan for Origins, which originally had the fathers of our main crew as your playable cast. We're talking the fathers of Dempsey, Richtofen, Takio, and Nikolai. Not sure what would have happened if they went that route, and it all seems like a lot of these plans were more so in the Zelensky era, which of course kind of came to an end halfway through Black Ops 2 when Blundell ultimately took over and created the direction we ended up going in as we ended BO2 and went towards BO3. But ladies and gentlemen, that is about it. This has been dkdynamite. Leave your thoughts down below in the comment section. What are your thoughts on these crazy decade-old zombie secrets, which just went public on the internet a couple of days ago? I'd be curious to see what an alpha build of TranZit would look like. Would we actually see a bus route B? What other secrets are just sitting out there for older zombie experiences? I'm excited to learn more, as I'm sure more information will pop up in the near future. Let me know down below, though, what from this video would you like to see incorporated in the modern Black Ops 6 Zombies experience or in future zombie games to come? Really hope you've enjoyed, and peace out, everybody.